All right, looks like we are live. Ooh, nice. All right, Facebook is or not Facebook, YouTube and Instagram. We are live on both. Great. All right, today we're going to talk about the power you put in your skating. I don't mean power skating in general. What I'm talking about is what you can do to get your athletes to just be way more powerful when they skate. And this is going to come from specific muscle groups. So, for instance, you know how when you get hockey players who have been skating for a while, they develop that whole lower body just blows right up, right? The thighs get huge, the bubble butt happens because those are the muscles that get used so much. Now, how can you help with that? Is to make sure that the other muscle groups they start to develop as well, because skating always gets the same muscle groups, and it doesn't matter what sport. Sports are all cyclical, right? You use the same movements all the time, so you use the same muscles over and over again. Same ones get more attention, the other ones they get neglected. So you got to balance those out. If you don't, then your body's smarter. It says, okay, you want to get these muscles so strong, so big, no problem. We'll get them there to a certain point where they don't start hindering the other muscles so that the joint tears itself apart, which happens. And it happens when we go to the complete extreme, but the body does its best to try to limit that. So it limits the growth of the stronger part by making sure that it tells you, you know what, if you want to get stronger, you've got to bring up this weaker part. No problem. What are the weaker parts, right? So when it comes to these weaker parts, you want to, and skating in particular, you want to take a look at things like one of the quads is called the vastus medialis oblique. Okay, that's your teardrop shaped muscle right on the front of the thigh, right near the knee. And that one gets so weak because of all the extra work that the big muscle on the outside of the thigh, right, that big sweeper, the vastus lateralis, it does a great job, but it needs help because that little muscle, the smaller muscle of the quad called the vastus medialis oblique, it actually helps to keep the knee tracking, right? It keeps the knee tracking properly. If you don't take care of it, then that's where you get into ACL injuries, MCL, PCL, all that fun stuff. So you could do something like a Peterson step up, which was developed by a Canadian ski coach back in the 80s. An amazing exercise for the teardrop shaped muscle. And it's super easy to do. Look it up. I've got plenty on YouTube and stuff like that that you can look at, or just look it up in general. The Peterson step up. The version for those who can't do the Peterson step up, and I had a golfer who, instead of using any kind of step at all because it was too much for his knee, like we had to basically start off with a piece of paper thickness for height. That's how bad it was. Uh, anyway, so do the Peterson, or if you are a real beginner and have really weak knees, then you can do something called the Poliquin step up. Charles Poliquin, if you don't know, was a master at helping athletes. 23 different Olympic athletes have medaled under him. 23 different sports and tons of athletes, but 23 different sports have medaled under this guy. Like, he was just amazing and a huge teacher to me. I was so fortunate to work under him, to be taught under him. It was an amazing experience each and every time I went. Anyway, so yes, the Poliquin step up, if you are a beginner and if you can handle it, you've got some knee strength in there, then you can start with the Peterson step up. And you're shooting for maybe a couple of sets at 15 to 25 repetitions to start with. And it's all about discipline and making the one leg work and the other one just stay completely stiff. You'll see it. Just look at the videos. They're real easy, but super important for your athlete. If you want to avoid knee injuries and stuff like that, my knees have always been super strong thanks to the balance of the legs and the muscles in the legs, all of them. And that in large part was due to doing full range squats, which is another thing I want to talk about. You see these people doing these parallel squats and they think they're going all the way, and it's only halfway. You've only gone down till your thigh is parallel. That's not enough. You've got to get yourself healthy enough with enough ankle flexibility so that you can have the hips come all the way down and the back of your legs touch. So the back of your thighs there, the hamstrings, they touch your calf. When your hamstrings touch your calf, that's a great sign. The lower down the calf, the better. And of course, when your butt can go right down to your ankles, then you've got something special. Your mobility is going to be so much better. Your ability to move on the ice, and your mobility on the ice is going to be huge when you have that kind of flexibility, because a lot of people don't these days, and you will just skate circles around them. Anyway, more about the power in your skate, the power in each stride. If you're going to use something called a skate mill, gosh, and I see so many kids end up using this stupid thing. All right, here's the problem. If you want to use it to learn how to skate or whatever, that's your prerogative. Wouldn't even touch it myself. And I don't have any of my skaters touching this, because it shortens your stride. Just like if you were to do long hill repeats, or let's say just a long hill run, you don't do a full stride when you're running. You do shorter strides because of the angle. Same thing. When you're skating, playing hockey, is the ice angled? I would hope not. Otherwise, the Zamboni's not doing his job. So using the skate mill is just going to shorten your stride, throw things off, and think about it. You don't have to push. All you got to do is stand there, and because of the belt, your leg's going to move back. Your leg's going to just move on its own. Well, when you're skating, that never happens. You've got to push to accelerate over the ice. The ice doesn't come to you. Or otherwise, we'd have a much different game. Anyway, so getting more power is going to come from doing things like full squats, full lunges, and full, notice I'm saying full a lot, right? Because you've got to learn to go all the way down on these exercises. And the last one's going to be the Bulgarian split squat. On each of these exercises, your goal is to have your hips come straight down, not forward and down or back and down, but almost completely straight down. And you get as low as you can with the hips. The lower the hips can go, the more power you're going to generate from the weakest position. So no matter where you are, your weakest position is going to be super strong. Your strongest position is going to blow everybody away. But if you're too busy doing these, partial movements and just jumps and stuff like that, it's not going to be enough. It just isn't. You're going to end up going into this muscle imbalance, just like we talked about at the beginning, and your brain is going to say, okay, you want to get strong? I'm going to limit how much stronger you're going to get until you take care of the weakness. When you take care of the weaknesses, then we can come up a little bit higher. And then you take care of more weaknesses, okay, we can come up even higher. That's what you've got to do. Full range of motion, and make sure that you're doing everything with proper form. Form is so important. You see, anybody can throw a weight around. It doesn't matter. That's not going to do you any good. What does do you some good, though, is that full range power coming right from the bottom up. Because think about it. You get knocked on your ass, you've got to be able to get yourself back up. And how are you going to do that if you've only been practicing these partial movements? You're going to be too slow getting up, and everybody else can be right by you. So those are how you get more power in your stride, and you allow yourself to go up with more balance in your development, so that you can keep growing, keep getting faster and faster without limitations. All right. Thanks for hanging out. Till next time.